Hi there. How you doing today? That was some picture you had out there, Tamara. It's amazing energy we have going on today. Thanks for sharing those pictures. They were beautiful. Lots of big light coming in. We have um, so much big energy. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna let a few more people come on, and then hey, Mike. And then I want to just link us all up together for the collective. And then this way, um, I'll start talking about what's going on. And then if you guys have any questions, I can try to answer those to the best of my ability for you. So, hi, Denise. Hi, Livia. Hey, Joe. Thank you for joining. So for those of you who don't know Bobby Allison, you should get to know her. She's like super, super cool. And I am having the extreme pleasure of working with her these days. We met probably like a little over a year ago. I wasn't even in this I wasn't in this house yet. So it was like maybe about a year and a couple of months, I would say. And we were having lunch at a mutual friend's house, our friend Mary. And so we just were talking, and then she was like, "Oh, I feel like you're going to move," and then we started talking. You know, she didn't really quite understand the work that I was doing, and I was, trying to explain it to her. But interestingly enough, my guides, kept bringing me back to her each time, even though she wasn't ready. You know, it's a process of opening, of unfoldment, right? We have to be ready to step into a new way of thinking. And so I think it was a couple months ago. She was here the last time for a visit, and then I invited her to come have lunch with me and hang out, and she did, and we had a great time. We spent a couple hours together, and then from there we started working together to work on some of her issues with her back, because that's really the work that I do, take it deeper into the soul blueprint of what's going on in the body, and to look at some of the mapping indexes, as now my guides are calling them, for the imprints that we came in with during incarnation. So we started working on that, and then I invited her to join a class that I was teaching, because I thought that would be kind of fun. And kind of the rest is history. We just clicked, and then I started getting information from my team that this is like very soul aligned, and it's the work that we're going to be bringing through and stuff. So that's been really fun for us to come together in that way and kind of enjoy a new way of co-sharing work together, because for you guys that don't know Bobby, she's in the psychic medium community, and of course, for the last many years, I've been, in the ascension world, working more in my solar aspects in the galactics, right? So it's been this bridging and coming together. So if you don't know her, you should. I know she was supposed to be here in April, and that got canceled because of everything that's taking place right now. But the one good thing that came out of it, which I'm really happy about, because I think it's really important for us to always move forward in whatever it is that we're doing. And certainly this whole situation with the virus has kind of given us an opportunity for expansion in so many different ways, right? Like I'm doing Facebook Live, and I hadn't considered Facebook Live for a long time as I was doing so much writing, and now I really don't want to write as much, although I do, and I want to teach more. And even my one-on-one sessions, although they're extremely fulfilling to me, I would like to teach a lot more. So it's opened that platform, and now for Bobby, it's actually shifted her into Zoom. So she'll now be offering Zoom sessions for anyone who would like a reading with her. So do not wait, book your session. She's really amazing, and now she's got the a whole other aspect that she's been working on with me. So it's kind of fun to see how that whole thing is evolving. And I know that you'd really enjoy having a session with her. So definitely check that out. You can go to her website for that, bobbyallison.com. I think that's what it is. Bobby, if you're on, feel free to post your information for those readings. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that, and also I want to say thank you to all of the light workers, bearers, keepers out there who are stepping up, who are sharing, who are giving their time freely to everyone. I've always done that for years, and there is such a reward from that. And I know a lot of people are enjoying having a lot of information to go to, and it's really very supportive during this time, and we're seeing a lot of community being established, a lot more community. So that's amazing. The change that we're all seeing taking place and how everybody is coming together. So I just want to say thank you, because we don't always do that for each other, but thank you to those of you that are stepping up and doing your part, and even to those that are holding meditations for donations, because donations are really important. Donations, a lot of people don't realize how important it is to be able to give. We all like to receive, but we also have to do our thing and give back once in a while. So reciprocity is always nice, and it heals abundance lack or abundance karma for those who are working through those lack programs. So if you can, give and enjoy and find what speaks to you, find what resonates with you. So, having said that, again, for the work that I do, take whatever resonates with you from here, and whatever doesn't, it's okay if you leave that to the side, because sometimes we might hear something that might not resonate with us right away, and then we'll find that in a few days, weeks, months, or years, sometimes we may grow right into that information and then be able to receive it and integrate it, right? So always stay open. That's really important. Hey guys. Hey Dominique, Donna, Kathy. Hey Rob, Kim. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys are really awesome. Thank you. And Bobby shared her information just in case any of you would like to have a session with her. Hey, Pam. Hey, Rosemary. Marianne. Thank you so much for joining. Carolyn. So great to see you guys. So, let's support each other in whatever way we can. And again, if somebody is teaching something that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay, right? And if I'm sharing something that doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. Hi, Heidi. We have to just be mindful that we're all on a different timeline. I've said this before, and we're all integrating information at the rate that we can based on our higher self, because it's not on our humans times, or it's not on our humans time schedule, right? I should say. And it's at the level of the higher self. So the higher self will always allow for something to come through that is meant for you at the time that it's meant to come through, right? So you could find yourself working with, you know, angels, right? And somebody else is working with a galactic team, a council of light, right? And you may be wanting to work with galactics, but maybe you are not quite ready yet, right? There's something still holding you back. There's a filter in place that you have to work through in order to get to the next level. And so, I just wanted to share that because that's really important. I get asked that question all the time, right? I worked with the Galactics when I was a baby, right? It was part of my soul contract. But then it wasn't until I think 2013 that I found myself interacting freely, channeling the Council of Light, and then the Galactic Federation, and then the Council of Nine, which are 9 oversouls. And that was really, it just came through, and it's a matter of trust, right? So I want to just say, allow yourself to be wherever you are in this moment, because you are perfectly perfect where you are. Thanks, Rosemarie. The purple is actually my Logitech camera, because I don't really love the camera that's on this computer. It's very grainy, and so it's my Logitech is a lot smoother. The screen is a lot smoother looking, so I bring that in, and that purple outline is from my Logitech camera, which is my webcam. So for those of you that like this setup that I'm using, Logitech Capture, and if I remember, I will post it in the comments section here, which camera I'm using. Just link it right into your computer system, and it does a pretty good job. And that's how I do all my YouTubes and any videos that I do. So so I would recommend that highly. So everything that we're doing, everything that we're doing in the time that we're doing it is perfectly perfect for where we are in this moment now. And I know some of us want to maybe be further ahead than we are, but we have to remember that everything is based on your soul's blueprint and what you signed up for, how you're accessing that information, and also it's based on the experiences that you chose when you chose to incarnate. And so that's really important to just have that awareness. So your higher self is in charge of when you're leveling to your next level. And this work does require work. Anybody that does this work will tell you that it requires work. It requires that you find some time to meditate. It takes time to have an understanding of how you're interacting in your day-to-day experience, right? You guys are so familiar with me writing all the time about watching your thoughts, words, and actions. I say that because they hold a vibration. And, if you think about the law of one, then you are everything that you are speaking. You are everything that you are thinking. We are creating our reality as we go. So we have to be really mindful of everything that we're saying. It's like if you get out of bed in the morning and you wake up from a dream that was not really good, right? Something that was either what we would call a bad dream, or maybe it was a dream that that you just weren't happy about the way that the dream turned out, right? Necessarily wasn't a nightmare, but you just were like, oh, that was stupid or whatever. and you're waking up to that in the morning, and you're not giving yourself a few minutes to lay in bed and let that information just whoosh through your field, you're then waking up and jumping right out of bed and taking that information that you just received during your dream state into your field and carrying it through your day. And so let's say it was that dream that made you feel like, it was not great, it was a little bad, it was a little scary, whatever. And you wake up with that and you start your day with that. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Your whole day is going to go right down the toilet, because that's how you're starting your day, right? And so what I am noticing is that our dream state is progressively turning into a multidimensional experience. So in other words, we're doing more of our soul work in our sleep state until we are ready to transact our reality in more of a multidimensional way. Okay? And that's really important for us to have that awareness, because when we're waking up first thing in the morning, we could get stuck in that energy that we're bringing back from our dream state, right? So we could get stuck in that energy, and then that energy is what is brought forward into our day. And so it could set up either having a really great day or a really bad day, right? So one of the things that I personally like to do is I like to just stay in bed a few minutes longer in the morning and let myself fully come back. Many times I've noticed that when I wake up first thing in the morning, my electromagnetic field is still adjusting itself, right? I'm extremely energy sensitive, so I feel everything. So when I come back in the morning, I could feel if my energy is not feeling right, if it's not in place right, if I maybe came back too fast, or part of me is still in dream state and the other part of me is still here, I just lay in bed for a little bit, for an extra, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, depending on how I'm waking up, and just tuning into how my body is feeling, right? If I wake up first thing in the morning with a headache and I didn't have a headache going to sleep, then I'm going to assume that that headache must have been created during sleep time, and maybe something happened in my dream where I am now waking up not fully integrating the energy or the information that I'm coming back into waking state with. So I will lay in bed a few minutes longer just to see if I can tune into my field and just let myself settle back down again, and let myself come back into fully present into my waking state, into my physical body, right? So that's something that you guys can do in the morning when you're waking up, especially now, because we're connecting with more of our multidimensional self, right? Especially those of you that are doing work in the higher realms. If you're channeling, or you're doing mediumship, or you're intuiting a lot, doing readings or whatever, then you will want to be more cognizant of how you're waking up in the morning, right? So I didn't plan on talking about dreams, but see, this is what the collective is requiring. And Rosemary, it looks like part of this was for you, where you've been having your crazy dreams. Yeah. Hi, Gina. Yeah, dreams, we're going to see them become more potent, right? Having more of a feeling where it feels real, and it's not feeling like a dream anymore. We're waking up and we're feeling like we were really someplace else, right? And so a lot of this that's taking place in dream state is what is really integrating timelines, right? So last live talk I did, I talked about the Akashic records and how we're alchemizing the Akashic records and integrating those records, right? Because now everything is starting to heal. The earth is doing her physical ascension, which means that we have to integrate those records and come into this present state of being, right? So all of those incarnations that we held, all of that cellular memory that we hold in our body is now needing to be become merged into one, and then right in this present state of being, okay? So most of that work we're doing in our dreams at night, which is why dreams can be feeling so real. And you could be waking up feeling very tired in the morning, okay? The other morning, as I was waking up, I heard myself saying something like, "It's okay. I'm not afraid. I'm being very brave." And in that moment, I perceived myself as a child, maybe 7, 8, 9. I was in India. There was a famine or some kind of a plague or something like that. It felt very old, maybe back in the 1800s. And I was talking to what appeared to be my father. And I thought, how interesting that I spoke to him I don't know what the language is, Hindu language to him. I was very aware of that, even though I understood it in English, and I wasn't speaking that language physically present, right? But in my state of consciousness as I was waking up, I was. And so I looked it up, and there was some kind of a plague or a famine back in the 1800s in India. And I recognized why that timeline would present where I might have been in that time, where I might have been in a situation of lack, where I might not have had money, or I might have not had food to eat, or I might have had a situation what we're going through now. So that timeline that was still in my cellular memory was needing to come up and be integrated, to be merged into my field so that I could heal that aspect of lack, right? So that's what's taking place now. But if we're not quite aware of what's going on, then we might just think that that was a dream that we had, or we might perceive it as like some kind of mini hallucination or something, like we were talking to somebody, right? But the work that I do, I know, I recognize that I was actually in another timeline. And that timeline was presenting in a flash. It was a flash. It was very, very quick. And I caught it and I let it whoosh through me. I didn't try to hold it. I didn't try to focus on it. I didn't try to think about it. I just let it go through me. I grabbed my pen and paper and I wrote it down so that I could remember it, right? And so that's how we want to handle this. We want to let whatever's needing to come up, go through our field, and then clear, because that's how we're merging and integrating those timelines, right? And those are all of the fractal soul aspects that we came into this incarnation to heal and clear. So again, I'm sure I mentioned it last live, but if I came in to clear lack, right, to clear abundance, then of course it makes sense that I would have had a lifetime in India where I was in the famine and there was no food and we struggled and everything, because here, look at it, here I am, right? It's showing up again, and it's needing my love, right? I need to love myself in this moment, love myself right through this, and not judge it or judge myself, and just offer myself love, right? So it's really important, and that's what we're doing right now. We're integrating these timelines in dream state. So Carolyn, you're saying for 3 weeks now, even when meditating, you wind up leaving and see yourself in a circle with light beings. When you wake up, you recognize certain faces in your mind. This was so purposeful for you to hear. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, because we're doing that. So, to those of you that are in the work, and Carolyn, I know you are also doing higher level work on the other side, right? And we do leave here and go and work with our councils. Joe, I think I saw you on the call too, and I'm pretty sure you're doing that as well. I know you had messaged me earlier about working with the Pleiadians, and so if you're on this live, then I just wanted to mention that too, because that's going to start opening up for you as well. So yeah, so this is how we're working now. So our multidimensional self is connecting back to our star family, right? Because we're all from the star. We're actually all star seeds. We're all from the star. We're seeded here to help Gaia advance, right? And now she's going through her physical ascension, and we're all coming online more. So this is why it's important to be a team and to assist each other. Yeah, there you are, Joe. I thought I saw you go through the feed before. Yeah, so this is where this is really important to have this information, because when we're working with our teams at night, sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to remember that. You're going to remember interacting and having interaction with those councils, right? The Council of Light, very, very present, and there are many councils within the council. When I work with the Council of Light or sometimes the Galactic Federation, it's a council within a council. When I was real young, I worked with the Zeta Reticula. Part of the council is made up of some of those Zeta Reticula, right? A being that I worked with in particular is a being called Nikon. And so he was present through my Reiki training going back to 2004, I think. He was showing up every time I was doing Reiki, and I knew that he was monitoring me, right? So we have all of these experiences. And we need to just be aware that it's an experience that we chose to have as a soul, and allow ourselves to just be present for it. And to, the more playful you can be and the more fun you can have with this, the better your experience will be. It'll be so much better for you. So yeah, and Danielle, yeah, you're always tired and so much traveling. Yes, at night. And this, if you are noticing spirals, right? Because sometimes you might be closing your eyes. Hi, Ranka. Hi, Deborah. So sometimes you might be closing your eyes and then you get that spiral, right? Those are portals. Sometimes they're stargates, depending on what it looks like, right? So we have to just enjoy the moment. And the more you can relax and enjoy the moment of what's taking place and unfolding for you, and not get in your head about it, and just look at it as an experience, right? It would be like you stepping up to play a video game, and then you play the video game for a little bit, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. And then you walk away and you go do something else, right? Write the information down that you're getting, and just allow yourself to be in a state of receiving, right? That's very, very important. When we get in our way, when the ego steps forward and gets in our way, the higher self can't talk to us, right? So the higher self is not going to be heard, because the higher self is a very soft whisper. The ego is loud. So when it's a loud voice, it's the ego. When it's a soft whisper, it's your higher self. And you have to train to listen to that higher self, right? So Megan says, newly opening up, healing from a big conclusion. Yeah, sometimes we have shifts through different circumstances in our life, right? Crisis will do that too. If we go into a crisis, it was what brought me full circle back into this whole spiritual realm. I was there as a child, and then I had cancer for the first time, and that just kind of sealed the deal for me, put me right back on the path here. And that's what happens. Danielle saying more about the way layers are of the dimensions or lives. I don't understand what you're saying. I feel like it is more about that. Could you just give me a little information on that, and I could speak to that? So, this is where we want to become very present within ourselves, right? And so a really good technique for that is, I'm going to just ask everybody to just sit back for a minute and just close your eyes, right? So that means no typing. I'm going to close my eyes too, and we're just going to do a real quick exercise so that I can show you how to come out of your head, which is where your ego is sitting, and come down into your heart so you can be more in tune and be more present for yourself, right? So everybody just sit back, close your eyes. And as you're closing your eyes, I want you to start breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and very gently just breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just being gentle right now. And as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, I want you to also be aware that you are still in the center of your head. That's where your consciousness is, right? It's used to operating from the center of your head. So as you're taking in your next breath, I want you to imagine that you're breathing that consciousness right down through your third eye. And on the next in-breath, breathe it down a little further, breathing your consciousness right down through your nose and your cheeks, and let your breath go out. And then on that next breath in, imagine that you're breathing your consciousness right down into your jaw. And on your next breath in, I want you to now bring your consciousness right down into your throat area. And on your next breath in, you're going to bring your consciousness right down through your shoulders. And the next breath in, we're going to bring our consciousness right down into our heart center. So I want you to feel it fill up your heart center as if your heart center was a cup. And you might even feel it spilling down into your chakra pillar, all the way down into your legs. Sometimes you'll feel it go down your arms. And so I want you to stay here with your breath, breathing in and out, focusing on your heart center. And as you're focusing on your heart center, I want you to just take in these statements, just listen to what I'm saying, take it in as you're breathing in and out of your heart center. I am an ascended master, incarnated to experience life on earth. I am a divine co-creator with my universe. I am able to manifest anything I desire. And just take that in. Allow yourself to feel how that felt as it pulled into you. Now I want you to tune into this next statement, staying right where you are in your heart center, breathing in and out. My ego is always in charge. My ego always runs the show. And if you were tuned in, you'll feel that didn't pull into your heart center, that actually pushed out. It repelled away from you. So let's do the first statement again. My higher self knows exactly what I need. I am a divine co-creator with my universe. And just feel how that felt. It felt true. It felt light. And now take another breath in, coming back into your body. And as you're breathing in and out, allow yourself to come back into the awareness, coming back and being present. And then allow yourself to open your eyes again and be fully back in the room. So that's an exercise that you can do anytime. That's an exercise that brings you right into heart center. That exercise also puts you right in connection with your higher self. It takes you out of the ego and puts you right into the higher self, right? So if there's something that you are wanting support with, that you are trying to make a decision on, you don't have to outsource to another or ask another for their help or their support. you can just do that now through your heart center by doing that exercise, because that exercise will connect you directly to your higher self. And you will feel when you are in tune, right? So if you connect in, you breathe into the heart center, you're in connection with your higher self, you ask yourself the question you're desiring an answer to, you will either feel it pull into your field or you will feel it push out of your field. If it pushes away from your field, then the answer is don't do it. Okay, so that's a really easy exercise that you guys can do that will help you stay more in alignment, that will prevent you from needing to ask everyone else, what do you think? You think I should do this? Should I do that? How about this? Should I do this instead? Because what you're doing is you're outsourcing to others, and you're actually giving your power away without realizing that you're doing that, right? So we don't want to. Thank you, Rank. I'm glad. Yeah, that's really, it's so powerful. When you guys use that over and over and over again, that's going to be your favorite tool, because that's my favorite tool, right? When I can't figure something out, I go in, because my higher self always knows the way. The ego is in the way, right? Hey, Janice. The ego's in the way. Hey, Robin. Thank you. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that, we're tuning in. We're not tuning out, right? Tuning out is empathing. We don't want to do that anymore, right? We want to tuning into the heart center, fourth dimension, astral plane. We used to go there only when we slept and we were in dream state. Now we're waking consciousness, fourth dimension, fifth dimensional consciousness, right? Hi, Leanna. So let's see, there were a couple of questions I want to get back to, and then I have a couple more things to give you guys. The spirals are triggers. Yeah, well, that's what we came here for, Danielle. We actually came here to work through what's triggering us. I'm actually gonna explain that. So very intuitive for you to bring that forward, because that is on my list of things to talk about. I always feel like I'm watching my life from outside in. I'm not really sure what you mean. What does that mean? I always feel like I'm watching my life from outside in. Explain that a little more, and I will get back to that question. Okay. Hi, Loretta. Thanks. I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. You guys can use that anytime you like. I'm going to see if I can make a meditation. I just got some new, a new program, a new something. I don't know. So not technical, but I have, I don't know, maybe it's an app you'd call it. It's on my computer. And so I'm going to try and do some meditations, because I know, a lot of people have liked that have worked with me in the past, those little exercises. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to make some up and I'll send them out and you guys can have fun with them. Right. So going back to sourcing your higher self, right? That's really important. One of the reasons that it's important is because it actually stops us from empathing, right? Empathing was a third dimensional archetype is really the best word I could use right there, right? And what it does is empathing keeps us locked in victimhood, believe it or not, right? It's another source to victimhood. So we don't really want to empath anymore, and it's not healthy for us to be feeling everybody else's stuff. I know that used to be the way of the healer, but we're not doing that. We actually shifted out of that contract, because that was a soul contract too, going back to the 2012 thing. So we don't really want to do that anymore. So insourcing, right? I mean, if you're really having a hard time and you're an empath, or you're claiming yourself as an empath, first thing I want to do is ask you to shift that and think about sourcing in and not claiming in the empath archetype. Because that's not healthy, especially as these energies continue to increase, and we're trying to evolve ourselves, right? Yeah, it's incredibly painful. But again, empathing goes back to third dimensional consciousness, right? So when we only had third dimension to play in on the earth plane, now we don't. We have all the way up to 12th dimension, but are we capable of accessing that? Many no, because we have to first do the work to get us into fourth dimension and to get us into fifth dimension and then seventh dimension, right? So that's where we want to be focused. We want to be focused in the work. So the minute you feel yourself tuning in as an empath, just say, oh yeah, that's a program that I used to run, and I used to work that empathing program, but I don't do that anymore. Now I'm going to in source, right? So turning inward and sourcing from within. So you could think of it as, for those of you that know chakras and know that the cones are pointing out, right? The point of the cone of the chakra is on the spine, but the cone points out. That would be how we're empathing, because that's streaming information in, information out. It's what the chakras do, right? The meridian points are like tiny mini chakras, and they run vertical and horizontal. Their work is something different. But when we're tuning in and we're getting information and we're sourcing each other, we're using our chakra system. And so the chakras are naturally pulling that information into the field. It has to do with the clockwise spin, right? If each of you were to close your eyes and put your arm in the air and rotate in a circle of clockwise, and you close your eyes, you would feel that spin bringing the energy of that clockwise spin right into your body. That's why we're all empathing and sourcing outside of us, right? We don't want to do that anymore. So if you're finding that you have a particular area in your body where you're having trouble, you could always tune into that chakra and then see how the spin is, see if it's long and stringy, see if it's exaggerated and wide, right? A lot of times when there are addiction issues in the root chakra is excessively wide, right? So we need to close it down a little bit and then tighten it up and change the color of it. But a lot of times too, what you can do is you can backspin. So if you stick your arm in the air again and just play along with me and close your eyes, then you'll rotate your arm in a counterclockwise way. Then you'll see that you can't pull information to you in a counterclockwise spin. It's going to push away. It's going to go away. It wants to go. It doesn't want to come in, right? Clockwise comes in, counterclockwise spins away. So that's another technique. So for those of you that are healers that are doing Reiki, right? A technique that you can do is to back rotate that chakra, not go with the clockwise flow, but backspin it if you're having a problem in a chakra where you need to get some of that plasma energy out and just like activate that chakra, right? Backspin it and fly it right out of there. So that's a tool that you could use, right? That's pretty cool. I use that many years. And so another tool for you guys would be also, again, taking your chakras, and instead of pointing them out, you can actually point them up toward your higher self, right? Sourcing your higher self. And so if you have to do that to get you through until you can break the empathing program, do that, right? Whatever it takes, whatever. Yeah, Carolyn, cool, right? Yeah, so whatever it takes to do that, do it. Whatever the work is, right? Who cares what it looks like? Who cares how crazy we are? Just do that, right? So sourcing the higher self, it's important to do that because that's a tool that we can use to support ourselves and assist ourselves in managing our emotional body. So going back to the question that was asked earlier about managing triggers, right? So let's talk about that for a second, because that is a very hot topic right now. So managing triggers, right? So the first step in a trigger is to know that you're triggered, right? And then the second step in the trigger is, good job. I was just triggered. Good job. Awareness, right? We need to just give ourselves a little love. It's okay. You were triggered. It's okay, right? So acknowledging the trigger. Hey, I was just triggered. That felt crappy, right? And then understanding that from the perspective of the trigger, there's two things going on here. One is the person that triggered you, or the situation that triggered you, is presenting because if you were triggered, you obviously need to go deeper into your work in order to up level into the next level, right? That's just how this work works. And when we're triggered, it's an opportunity for us to see where we're still needing to do some work, right? And then the other part of this is to see that what's presenting through this individual or situation is showing up, because it's also reflecting where there's an imbalance on that end, right? So I could give you an example. This just happened to me where, I've never really had a negative encounter with my work. And generally, the people that are seeking this type of work out are the ones that seek me out for one-on-one or classes or stuff like that. And then the ones that would be tuning into my page or going to my YouTubes and stuff. And I just had a situation present where somebody had called me crazy, and I think their term was a nut job. So I was just like, what? Like my eyes went open, and it was kind of like somebody just took the wind out of my sail for a second. I was not expecting it because I don't usually attract that vibration, but it's coming forward because, as I mentioned earlier, I had that timeline in India where I was running a lab program that I needed to clear. And so this presented in a way that I saw the trigger immediately. And then I also recognized the fear that this other person was holding, right? Because they were showing up they were showing up as them, but they had their 5-year-old, I don't, the energy in here is so high right now. My screen is just flipping out. The energy is so high. They showed up because their little 5-year-old self, that inner child, was so upset with what they were hearing because they're in fear and they're having a very difficult time navigating what's taking place with the virus, with COVID-19, right? And so anything outside of their belief of that fear was triggering them. So me talking about, how we're opening to a higher state of thinking and ascending our consciousness, and that this is an awakening, and that we're creating our reality with our thoughts, words, and actions, was very scary to them. And so, the great thing about the trigger was that I saw it and it had no impact on me, because those of you who know me know I'm in divine neutrality 24/7 and don't really get impacted or affected like that because of all the work that I've done. But this was definitely an area where if I hadn't had all the work under my belt, I might have taken it really personal and I might have been really upset with them. Instead, I just offered love and compassion. So if you find yourself being triggered, the most important thing to do is, 1, notice the trigger. 2, give yourself the love and say, hey, that's okay. We were triggered and there's something that's needing to come up and clear. And so the next step to that would be to see what it is that is presenting for you, that triggered you, that is needing to be loved, that is needing to be held, right? And then also notice that whatever presented that trigger to you is also needing love, right? And so one of the most important things, and I know you guys know this already, but it bears repeating, that you can only meet another where they are capable of meeting themselves. So if they are not capable of loving themselves, they cannot love you to the degree that you might want their love, and they cannot receive love from an outside source, right? Because there's always going to be conditions to it because they're not doing a good job loving themselves. So if you're finding yourself tuning in or having triggers presenting in your life, I want you to just shift to an idea or a state of thinking that this is now presenting because it's time for you to go a little bit deeper. It's time for you to go to the next level. That trigger is coming up to get you to look at something that's still needing your love, that's still needing you to heal it, that's still needing your awareness, your attention. Okay? That is really important when it comes to these triggers. I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, it's really hard. Working with triggers is very frustrating, Rob. I agree with you. And Bobby, yeah. But triggers are a path to release. Bobby is saying, yeah. We can see the trigger and we can take it in and we can work through it. So powerful, so powerful. Tuning into them, Pam. Yep. Deborah, definitely have to face it, but again, I didn't take it personally. I just didn't. I'm very confident in who I am, and I am confident in the work that I bring forward. And I also hold a great awareness that a lot of fear is being pulled out of everybody's field right now. It's being pulled out of the field of Gaia. It's being pulled out of each of our field, right? So, I cannot be mad at them. I can only meet them where they are. If they are willing to sit down and let me talk with them through it, let me give them another perspective, or let me even just listen to them, hear their fear, I would be happy to hear their fear, right? I would be happy to love them right where they are. They have to want that, though. We can only meet someone where they're willing to meet themselves. So, yeah, Robin, he probably was afraid of it because it was overwhelming, right? This is where you guys have the upper hand in all of this work that's presenting. There's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be needing a lot of support through this, right? So we have to be love for each other. We have to. Would I love to get paid for every little stinking thing that I do? Yeah, wouldn't you? But at the end of the day, if I share my knowledge with you, if I share tools with you, if I'm opening myself up to you, then I'm opening myself up to clearing out what I've already used, learned, held, giving it out to you, and I'm making room for new stuff to come through, right? So it's important for us to share, which is why I've always done this, because my guides have always said, give, it comes back threefold. Give, right? I've had books show up for me in my mailbox from clients who have had sessions and they know where my address, because it's not listed anywhere. I've had other goodies. I've had people call me and ask me if I need the very coveted toilet paper and paper towels. I mean, I have the most beautiful people in my life because of this work. So I can only come from a place of love, and I will meet everybody with that love. And they could be mean. I'm not going to go there with them. I'm going to ask them to step up a little higher, right? So I'm asking you to all do that too. And I know you can, and I know you do. So we can only do that. So Leanna's saying, yeah, it's all a learning curve, yeah. And we have to always be the ones to show up. We know the way. We are the way showers. You guys, every single one of you out there are showing the way for others, right? Maybe I'm showing the way for you because I've been in this work for God knows like 20 years, and I've been a way shower on the ascension path for, I don't know, I'm probably teaching ascension, I don't know, 5 years or yeah. So I have a little bit more maybe to my background, but now you have that too. So you go do your thing with it, right? Rank is saying she's been on this path for the past 18 months. Yeah. Yes, you have to choose kindness. You know what? Listen, I'm not saying something couldn't come along and trigger me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that right now, nothing has showed up because I'm meeting everything with love. That's not to say that there's not something out there that could show up that could really trigger me and make me mad, or what angers me is when I see people talking badly about each other or about each other's work. That bothers me, right? Because we're all here to do something. And if another is not doing something honorable and people are showing up for them and they're focused in on them and studying with them or whatever with them, that person is needed in that moment by those people that are showing up for them, because that's how they're getting their awakening until their discernment opens, and then they go to somebody else, right? And then there's those even that are claiming at the highest level that might not be at the highest level. I mean, everybody's doing what they think is right for them. So we can't hold judgment to each other. We can only hold ourselves accountable, right? So, and that's kind of how I look at it. We have to hold ourselves accountable. If we are bringing forward some work that we think is wonderful, there are going to be people that are going to show up to take part in that work, right? As long as we're operating from integrity, then we're always going to be stepping forward. If we're not operating from the field of integrity and not in our alignment, which is where the higher self comes in, right? Then eventually we're not going to be stepping forward anymore, because your universe will shut that right down. And they will make that so, right? Yeah, sometimes people have a hard time looking at themselves where they cannot move forward, and that's a fear thing, and that's okay. I mean, I didn't have a session with him. It was just he saw my work and got triggered by my I think it was my post about when is this virus going to be over? That really seemed to trigger this individual. It is what it is, take it in stride. I'm sure when I was opening, there was some stuff I wasn't really kind of, aware of, in tune, or whatever you want to say, right? So understanding and being aware, right? And again, I'm going to point you guys back to my last live, because I talked about being a conscious observer. My YouTube videos too, I don't have a whole lot. I mean, like, I have enough, but I don't have like hundreds, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's one about vibrational currency. That one is really good too, talking about managing your vibrational currency. I would tune into that one. I have a lot of stuff out there that you guys could be busy looking at if you wanted more. Thank you. I love you too. You are amazing. You're all amazing. Just so you know, am showing up as a mirror of every single one of you. So thank you for showing up for me, because the love that you are offering me is being offered right back to you. So if in likeness you think I'm doing a good job or I'm wonderful, then it's because you are wonderful. So I'm reflecting that right back at you, right? We're all mirrors for each other. And think about it from the highest perspective. I'm channeling all of higher selves. That's the collective experience. Everything that you are needing to hear is coming through me to you from your higher self. This is how it works. Okay, really kind of cool stuff. It's why I love to do what I do. So Tamara asked me, can we talk about the stargates, the portals, and the diamond chrysolite? Yes. So I will talk about that next. So if we are wanting to manage our emotional state of being, then it is really absolutely necessary for us to be conscious of everything that we are taking in, right? And conscious of everything that we are putting out. So if we are doing something unconsciously, feeding into a fear, right? Then catch ourselves and say, oh, I feel like that was me acting out of fear. Instead of getting mad at yourself, go, oh, look at that. I didn't even realize that I was acting out of fear. I'll know better for next time. And again, love yourself through, right? When we don't do that and we beat up on ourselves, we lower our vibration. So don't do that. Okay, that's really important. And that will help you navigate when you are presented with people who might not resonate with the work, right? Family members, certainly, friends, certainly. You might have a situation with somebody in your life. I know that this is occurring for a few people where that person and you are kind of butting heads and you're not seeing eye to eye, and it's frustrating to you because you just want them to accept you the way you accept them, and they can't. And then all of a sudden you might need to pull apart, come apart, give yourselves a timeout, and then at some point around you circle back, come together again. And it might not be quite right. You might have a little bit of friction again, and then you might butt again, and then you might need to come apart, and then you might need to circle back together again, right? This is a process, and this is how we operate. So just know that each time that you separate, you're each growing on your own, separate, and then you come back together again, right? For the purpose of growing together. And if that can't happen, you keep doing it until you can, or until you decide that you can't do it anymore, and then there is no more dynamic there. There's no more friendship, relationship, whatever it was, right? So that's how this work works. But it's always being in the consciousness, always being present to see what's showing up, right? When we were told we were going to be on this quarantine, my friend Beth and I share this house, and I said to her, we're going to go to the store, but we're not going to go to the store driven by fear. We're going to go to the store and get just what we need. I don't want to buy out all of the tuna fish. I don't want to buy out all of the rice or whatever, right? I want to just buy exactly what we're going to need for 3 weeks, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and not overbuy, and leave enough for other people that might need to have. Because if I went and I bought out every can of tuna that was on the shelf, I would be doing that out of fear and holding that vibration of fear, which will then anchor me into that timeline. I don't want to be in the timeline of fear. I want to be in a higher vibrational timeline where everything is working out. Everything is going to be amazing, right? And where this is all going to be over in the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks. And we're seeing a shift, right? That's what we want to hold. So we don't want to feed into that fear. And if you find yourself feeding into the fear, be okay with it. Give yourself love, and then just step right back into where you were, right? Step right back in and be like, okay, I'm not feeding that fear. I saw that. I didn't like it. Didn't feel good. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Now I realize, and I'm going to choose differently, right? We have to choose. Yeah, Robin's saying choosing in every moment. Absolutely. Yep. We have to be in awareness always. Okay. That's really important. Okay, so Joe, yeah. We can't, we can't feed into it. We have to just let it be what it is, right? Because when we feed into it, we're lowering our vibration. We don't want to do that. We want to stay high, okay? We want to be in a higher state of consciousness. and continue to just raise up, right? So those of you that were outside today, I know you can't see it in the light, but I have a sunburn from being outside today. I was laying out in the backyard, just taking in some of the sun because it was magnificent. It was amazing. And so, all right, Deborah, take care. Bye-bye. Have a good night. So I was out in the sun today, and if you looked at the sun, the pictures of the sun, you're seeing amazing light coming through, right? And now I could go on Facebook and 10 people could post a picture of the sun, and each picture of the sun is going to be different. And that's primarily based on the dimensional frequency that you're holding and what you're accessing in that moment that you're taking the picture of the sun, right? So some might be on the Christed timeline where that you're getting those big rays, right? Because we're entering another phase of the Christed timeline coming up. We have another gateway we're going through on the 4th. It's actually going to be April 4th, so it's 4/4, and then we're in a year 4, right? So we have another gateway coming up, and then we have a really big day on Easter. I think Easter this year, please correct me if I'm wrong, is on the 12th, if I have that right. And I think that that is, what is that? That is 4, 3, and 3 is 6, and 4 is 10, so it's a 1, so it's a new beginnings vibration. So Easter day is, and the moon is in Aries, and it's all about new beginnings. So we're going to see a lot of changing happening. We're going to see a lot of shifting take place, a lot of shifting on the earth, a lot of shifting in our reality. There's going to be a lot of changes coming, a lot of really good changes coming that are so desperately needed right now, right? But we're seeing the Christed timeline coming back in. And in January, I had gotten a vision of May, and in that vision, they were showing me freedom codes, love. So a lot of this energy that's coming in, we're seeing this Christed light dynamic, diamond light, and all of this is a frequency. It's a high level frequency that is almost like if you were to blow a dog whistle, right? We can't hear it, so we can't see it, but it's coming through and it's entering our field. It's entering the field of Gaia, and it's amplifying our field. It's activating our DNA that is turned off, and it's shifting us. It's helping to restructure our cells, and that's what's helping us ascend. It's helping us in our ascension process, right? So all of that light that's coming in is super amazing, super powerful. And some of it, though, is creating distortions in the physical body, right? Such as gassiness and bloating, especially in the stomach area, where you feel one day your stomach flattens out and the next day you feel very bloaty. That's a natural occurrence as these energies are moving back and forth in our physical body. They're also responsible for some people I know have been asking me that they feel very itchy lately. So those star particles on the skin as we're really birthing our physical bodies into our light body. Okay, so that's what's happening. I have tons of stuff on my Facebook and Instagram pages if you want to go back and read. I think posted a lot of it going back to I want to say June of 2019. So you could tune into that back then. And you have to remember that this virus was meant to target the lungs. Fear is held in the lungs, right? So if we're having a hard time with our lungs, with breathing, it's very likely that it's because we are tuning into the collective fear that is held in the planet that really needs to leave and release from our field and leave our body. And so if you're finding your lungs are heavy or you're having a difficult time breathing deeply, it's most likely because you're tuning into that fear. So again, you want to get out of empathing the fear and tune into the higher self, right? Shift that energetic connection, that entanglement that you're in, which is really important right now. So we don't want to do that, okay? Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, okay. Easter is the 12th. It's new beginnings. It's all new beginnings. So any advice for children at this time? Well, you're not being specific, so I'm just going to give you a general idea of what I feel. I work with a lot of kids who are very intuitive and opening to their psychic abilities. So I want to say, no matter what is taking place with your kids, it's really important for you to encourage them to be them and to be their most authentic self. A lot of the younger kids are higher dimensional in frequency, right? Their frequency is a higher frequency. So what happens is they have a very difficult time sitting still, and they're constantly wanting to move, right? Those are the attention deficit disorder kids, right? They're diagnosed as that when it's really that their energetic field is not comfortable in the old third dimensional energy because it feels like mud. It would be like, they're coming from a pool of water diving into a pool of mud. The pool of mud is not comfortable for them. It makes them feel heavy and they don't like the way it feels. So they're constantly moving to adjust their field, right? So we want to be very aware of everything that's taking place with them and tuning into their needs and what they are needing from us, right? It's very, very important to be aware. A lot of them are going to start presenting their psychic abilities. And so you'll want to encourage that and assist and support that with them, right? My friends, I think it's a great nephew. It's her nephew's son, is, I don't know if he's 4 or he's 5. He's so cute. But once in a while he'll FaceTime and he'll get on FaceTime with me. And he was having some trouble with his psychic ability. And then I explained what he can do at night when he goes to bed, how he can help clear his room and keep his room protected at night so that he could sleep, because he was having all kinds of interactions and whatnot. And the other day when he called her on FaceTime, he called my friend, she was like, "Do you want to talk to Maria?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so he started right off the top. He was like, "So my grandma was on the playground with me." Now that was new for him because he had only experienced his grandmother who passed in it at night and mostly during dreams, but now he's starting to see her during the day, during waking state. And then because I was in tune, I could see that he had other family members there, and I started saying to him, "Oh, but I see so and so behind you and this and that." And he was like, "Oh yeah, they're all here, and Vin's in the tree, and they're all playing with me all the time, and at night in dreams we go flying and all this other stuff." So we have to honor them, because they're going to be opening. It's going to be amazing to see, right? These little spiritual beings running around, and many of them, many of the older ones who are like in their 20s, probably not going to come into their fullness until they're in their 30s. But it depends. Like each one has a different soul contract and a different blueprint, a different soul blueprint. Rosemary, I assume you're agreeing with that. Deborah, you're still here. Yeah, when your stomach is gurgling, you're receiving energy. So this live feed, I can't help it. It just comes from my field. It's a codex I hold. I give off a transmission, an energy transmission. So it it's your higher self is going to take that information in if it's ready for it, and then turn on whatever light codes and key codes need to come on to kind of up level you to the next level. It's just one of the things that I do, you know. And yeah, Rob, anxiety and fear is very, very heavy. And what we have to do is get out of that energetic vibration, right? Because that again goes to empathing. So you sense it, you feel it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in the consciousness that is holding fear. And you have to remember, it's not just, if you're feeling fear, it's not just your fear, it's the collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness is the millions of people on the earth feeling fear. So it's going to magnify your fear that much more. So we want to get out of that and just shift higher. Dyslexic kids, again, high vibration, right? They're tuning in a different way, and they usually, when they have dyslexia, it's because their brain is at such a different level. It's a frequency thing. He might be able to work out of that though. Like I just heard like there's a possibility that they will bypass that, the dyslexia, as the energy shifts and they can tune into the higher frequencies. The more we're anchoring 5D consciousness, that will probably shift because it's a vibrational mismatch there, right? So it's the way they're bringing through information, but it also is great because it is forcing communication in a different way. Just like I said in the beginning of this live, you know, this whole thing is teaching people that there is another way of communicating. Zoom is one of those ways. Live feeds is one of those ways. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. So we're all learning to communicate in new ways. And that's what all of this is doing, right? So we have to see the same thing with autism, you know, that's a different way of communicating, and it is a higher frequency that's held within the body. So we have to just be cognizant that it's nothing wrong with these kids. There's nothing wrong with them at all. It's what they've chosen to come in and work through or present for us, because sometimes it's us. They're holding that frequency. They're portraying that dyslexia, that autism. You know, and so many others for us who is needing the shifting, who is needing the waking up, who's needing to come up into the next stage of being, right? Danielle, I think the children are born into these higher frequencies, fourth and fifth, for example. They seem to be handling this time of fear due to the virus. Yes, because they're seeing the bigger picture. They're in tune. They're in tune with their higher self, right? They're not in tune with the frequency of the ego. They're in tune with the higher self. They're in tune with their soul. They're very intuitive. They're very, very psychically aware, right? And they're not feeding into the fear. They get it. Right? They are like, yep, don't need the vaccine. We don't need to do that. It's not for us. We don't need anything else, because they understand their body can heal them from anything, right? Anything. That was one of the reasons I came in and had cancer. Not once, twice. I had it. And then I healed a Bartholin cyst in my Bartholin gland. I read up on it to see what it was about. Nobody ever healed it themselves. Everybody was saying, well, you can have it removed with surgery, but if you have it removed with surgery, chances are it's going to come back again, because that was every case. And I was just like, yeah, the heck with that. I got to fix this. Did it happen overnight? No, it took a couple of years. It took me 5 years to figure it out, but it was a stream of consciousness. I was streaming a consciousness. I was tuned into a bad consciousness, a bad way of thinking about myself at that time, right? It was a whole self-worth thing. So once we understand it, we could shift it. We could heal it. Yeah. Good. Yeah. We had a major shift on the planet today, right? So that's why I posted what I did this morning. We have had a major shift, lighter, higher frequencies, higher energies coming in. guys, the best thing you could do would be to envision the planet in golden Christed light when you go to sleep, right? And that's what we could do, is hold ourselves to that Christed light. You know, the violet flame, Saint Germain's violet flame, that's also very good. I see a lot of people posted that too, but that diamond Christed light, that golden light, the crystalline light, any of that, because we're in the Christed timeline, right? And we're receiving those codes. Those codes are coming in now. So again, and like turned on and amplified, right? We have the 444 coming up. So we want to be in conscious stream with that. The more we can feed the higher vibration, the higher frequency, the faster we can shift all of this, right? Loretta, I am so glad to hear that your headache went away today. Yes. So it's a matter of just tuning in and just doing the work. When you're feeling low, just tune back up. You know, we have to I have to tune up I'm always tuning. I'm always like, where am I now? Where am I now? Right? Always. Well, I was told that I function on a higher frequency. Should I worry? No. That's awesome that you function on a higher frequency. Um, it's it's all it means really is that you're operating not in that third dimensional realm, right? You're operating in that higher perspective, that fifth dimensional consciousness. And now is the time you would want to do the work to tune into that higher vibration, to the higher self. Hi, Maria. Thank you for joining us. You want to tune into the higher self, right? That higher vibrational frequency. You want to come up into that. And so that's where we want to be. Somebody had asked me on the last live about grounding. We don't ground anymore like we used to ground in the old 3D. We just don't do that. You know, we can't go out and we can't anchor our roots into Gaia. And, you know, Gaia's physical aspect is shifting. This is now when she's going through her physical ascension. So we're going to see more stuff shaking up on the earth, you know, and we have to be prepared for that. What you can do, though, is if you feel like you need to ground into Gaia, instead of grounding into Gaia, envision that you are running a cord from the end of your spine, your tailbone, all the way down through the soles of your feet and down into Gaia, like 20, 30 feet, down into the crystalline grid, which will look like a crystal grid, a white crystal grid, right? That's the crystalline energy. And so it's warehoused down there under the earth, and you could just anchor into that if you feel like you need to ground to something, ground to that crystalline grid. But we want to go higher. We want to ascend. We're not going to go any faster than we're ready for. Again, our higher self will make sure of that, right? Which is why it's really important to make sure that you're doing things that are going to be loving and nurturing to yourself, and not do things that are going to create a potential for a problem, right? We have to be in awareness of that. That fifth dimensional, one love, higher consciousness state of being, blissful, spaced out feeling that you want is already available to you. You just have to do the work to keep up leveling, right? And sometimes that work is meditating. So let's talk about sleep time, and then I think we're going to wrap this up. I want to give you some exercises that you guys can do at night while you're sleeping, because this is important. So as you're laying down to sleep, I think one of the best tools that I ever received in all the years I've been doing this work probably came from Abraham Hicks. And so it goes like this. When you are laying in bed at night and you're getting ready to go to sleep, tell yourself that you would like to slow the momentum of your thoughts, right? Because many of us are going through our day, jump into bed, and we're trying to fall asleep, and the mind is going 1,000 miles a minute. And then we can't fall asleep. And then when we do fall asleep, we've taken a lot of the day's activity into our sleep state, and our sleep state, we're trying to unwind all that information, and we're not doing what we need to be doing in our sleep state. okay? So if you could think about when you're laying down in bed and just before you're getting ready to close your eyes, say, I slow the momentum of my thoughts so that I can sleep. That's all you have to say. And then let yourself just feel that wave of calm, feel that wave of peace. And as you're trying to fall asleep, one of my favorite tools is to have appreciation, right? So after you say that, I have appreciation for my comfy pillow, for my comfy bed, for my safe bedroom, for my safe house. I have appreciation for the space that I'm in. And then you'll notice that that just shifts your energy into a state of calm, and you'll probably fall asleep in a few minutes, right? Because now we've taken ourselves out of that energetic flow that we were all in during the day, where we were fed by everything that was in our reality. So we're actually slowing down the mind and now shifting and preparing ourselves to go to sleep. So that is something that is really important, because in dream state is where we're doing our deepest healing work, right? So we want to make sure that when we're heading into sleep state, we're heading there without any distractions. Okay? So I think this is where we're going to leave this, because we're already at an hour and a half. And I know it's getting late and I want you guys to get some rest. So please use that tool because it's very, very good. It's really good. I use it every single night before I fall asleep. And see how your sleep is. See how your dreams are. And have a dream journal next to your bed, or have a recording device. I hate having the phone next to my bed, but it does have a recorder, so sometimes I do grab that, and use that to note your dreams if you are wanting to look into your dreams, okay? Lots and lots of fun to do that. So know that I love you all. I'm so appreciative of each and every one of you. Thank you for spending this time with me. Hopefully some of this stuff resonated with you, and use it, please. And let me know how you're doing with it, because it's important to use the tools. Very, very important, okay? Before we go, Bobby and I are actually doing a class. I think it's on Saturday. You can find it at my website. It's raising your vibration. So it will be tools just like I did here today. And you can check that out. And it's a great way to support us in the work that we're doing too, is to take that class with us and support the work, okay? And there's a lot of information in there. So I love you. Have a great night and keep your vibration high, all right? Love you guys. Take care. Thanks, Maria. I'm so looking forward to having you in class. Take care. All right, guys. Love you. Love you too. Bye.